Hello friends, welcome to the Anatomy Hub. Today we will study about the posterior abdominal wall. Recently we have covered the anatomy of anterior abdominal wall, and now in the demand of plenty of students, now I have started here about the posterior abdominal wall. So as you know that the posterior abdominal wall that extends from the 12th rib above to the pelvic brim below. So it is a strong and stable because it is constructed by the bones, muscles and fascia. It supports retroperitoneal organs, vessels and nerves. The posterior abdominal wall that is uh, mm, constructed as your bony parts. Over here you can see the hip bone, the lumbar vertebrae, okay, and some part of your thoracic vertebrae, and you'll see the muscular part over here and the uh, fascia. So five muscles mainly that comprises here your posterior abdominal wall, and the fascia that is mainly the psoas fascia covering to the psoas muscle, and fascia iliaca that covering to the uh, iliacus muscle, and the thoracolumbar fascia that you can observe over here. All they include the structures that related to the posterior abdominal wall. Okay, so the muscles of uh, posterior abdominal wall, here you can see the three muscles, that is your psoas major muscle that you can observe over here, and the iliacus muscle over here, and the quadratus lumborum muscle. Okay, so these three major muscles that is present over here, that comprises the posterior abdominal wall. Along with that, the diaphragm over here that also takes part in formation of your posterior abdominal wall. Along with that, here you will find the uh, transverse abdominis muscle. So the transverse abdominis muscle, the diaphragm, the psoas major and in some case minor, and the quadratus lumborum and iliac muscles. All these five muscles that comprises your posterior abdominal wall. So first we will study about this psoas major muscle. Its origin mainly 14 fleshy sleeves that are mainly the 5 sleeves from the intervertebral disc between T12 to L5 vertebra, and at adjoining margins of the bodies of these vertebrae that gives origin to the psoas major muscle, and another 5 leaves from the anterior surface and the lower border of the transverse processes of the 5 lumbar vertebrae. Okay, and 4 sleeves from the tendinous arch that is bridging the constricted side of the body of the lumbar vertebrae. Okay, and its insertion, and this muscle actually have wide origin and it comes downward, and it gets insertion at the lesser trochanter of the femur via the iliopsoas muscles tendon. Okay, and the function of this muscle, it acts from above. It is the chief flexor of the thigh at the hip joint. uh, Acting from below, it flexes the trunk on the thigh, as in raising the trunk from the uh, recumbent to sitting position, and it's innervated by the L1 to L3 spinal nerves. Like that, in some cases you will find a small muscle above or just anterior to this psoas major muscle is the psoas minor muscle, and this muscle is present in about 50% of individuals, and its origin that arises from the side of the intervertebral disc from the T12 12 to your L1 vertebra and adjoining parts of their bodies, and its insertion is mainly with the iliopubic eminence that you will find over here at the hip bone. Okay, and its nerve supply is by the L1 spinal branch, or you can say the spinal nerve, and its action, that is it is actually weak flexor of the trunk muscle. Okay, because it has a high origin in comparison to the iliopsoas muscle. Okay, so like that you will find here the iliacus muscle. Okay, so it is a fan shaped muscle that you can observe over here, and it forms the lateral component of the iliopsoas muscle, and its origin is from the upper 2/3 part of the floor of the iliac fossa, inner lip of the iliac crest, and upper surface of the lateral part of your sacrum. Okay, uh, and its insertion actually the anterior surface of the lesser trochanter, and an area that is 2.5 cm long below to it, that gives attachment to this iliacus muscle, and its nerve supply is by the femoral nerve, and its action, it is actually the flexor of the thigh and the lumbar part of the vertebral column. So like that here you will find the quadratus lumborum muscle. So the quadratus lumborum that you can observe over here very clearly, that its origin from the posterior 1/3 part of the inner lip of your iliac crest, that you can observe over here. The lower 2 to 4 transverse process of the lumbar vertebra. Okay, and its insertion, it actually a quadrangular shaped muscle, and it goes upward, and it gets insertion at the medial part of the anterior surface of the 12th rib and the upper lumbar transverse process, and its nerve supply is by the ventral rami of T12 and L3 L4 lumbar spinal nerves, and its action is mainly, it is the lateral flexor of the lumbar vertebral column, and it extends the lumbar vertebral column. So like that here you will find the quadratus lumborum, that you can observe here very clearly how this muscles looks like. It is quadrangular shape, that's why it is quadratus lumborum, and it attaches to the transverse process of your first lumbar vertebra along with the 12th ribs. So here you will find some great vessels of the abdomen, that is the great vessels of the abdomen, mainly the abdominal aorta and the inferior vena cava. So first we will study about the abdominal aorta, that you can observe over here, that it is actually the continuation of descending thoracic aorta at the aortic orifice of the diaphragm, opposite to the lower border of the T12 vertebra or intervertebral disc between the vertebrae T12 and the L1. Okay, and it descends vertically downwards and slightly of the left side in front of the vertebral column, and terminates in front of the lower part of the body of your L4 vertebra. Okay, that dividing into two divisions here you can see, that is the right and left common iliac arteries. Okay, so there are numerous branches, mainly 3 unpaired ventral branches to the gut, to the GI system, 3 paired lateral branches that you can observe over here to the 3 paired glands, that is the suprarenal gland, kidney and the gonads. Okay, and you'll find the paired posterolateral branches, and you'll find the 3 terminal branches also, and above the aorta it also gives rise to the paired inferior phrenic artery. Okay, that you can observe over here. So here just we have given in a flow chart about the branches of abdominal aorta. So the branches of abdominal aorta that you can see, that is the three anterior unpaired branch that gives to the viscera, that is your celiac trunk above, and below to that you will find the superior mesenteric artery, and below to that you will find the inferior mesenteric artery, and they are unpaired in nature. Like that you will find three lateral paired branches to the viscera, that is to the suprarenal artery, to the suprarenal gland, to the renal artery, to the kidney, testicular and ovarian artery, to the testis and ovary. Like that, here you will find the five lateral paired branches, that is your inferior phrenic artery, and you will find another the four lumbar arteries. Okay, and you will find three terminal branch. That three terminal branch are the right common iliac artery, the median sacral artery, and the left common iliac artery. Okay. So after this artery, we'll study about the vein. So here you will find also the inferior vena cava that you can observe over here. So this IVC or the inferior vena cava is the largest and widest vein of the body, and it drains most of the blood from the body below the diaphragm into the right atrium of the heart. Okay. So the formation and course and termination of the inferior vena cava is important, because this inferior vena cava that is formed by the union of your right and left common iliac vein in front of the body of your L5 vertebra, below the aortic bifurcation and behind the right common iliac artery. It ascends upward in front of the vertebral column on the right side of the aorta. It then arches forward in the right cross of the diaphragm to reach the groove on the posterior surface of the liver. It pierces of the diaphragm at the level of your T8 vertebra and terminates by the right atrium of the heart. So here you will find lots of tributaries of this inferior vena cava. So this inferior vena cava, it receives mainly the three formative veins, three abdominal wall tributaries, and three lateral visceral tributaries, and three anterior visceral tributaries. So here you will find that two common iliac veins and the median sacral vein that you can observe over here, they unite together, that they contribute to this inferior vena cava. Along with that, you will find the three abdominal wall tributaries, that is that you will find over here, like your inferior phrenic vein, third and fourth lumbar vein. Okay. And the first and second lumbar vein, that also you will find over here. The first and second lumbar veins that end in the ascending lumbar vein, and you will find three lateral visceral tributaries that you can observe over here, that is the inferior phrenic vein. Okay, over here, and you will find the right and left renal veins of and the suprarenal vein, and the right and left testicular veins that you can see, or you can say the right and left gonadal vein. Okay, and three anterior visceral tributaries, that is right, middle and left hepatic veins. So like that, you will find the lymphatic system also, the lymph nodes. So these are actually located along the external iliac arteries, commonly present over here, and you will find these lymph nodes also present at the common iliac artery and the abdominal aorta. According to the presence of the arteries, the name also given to these lymph nodes. Like that, here you will find the median and lateral groups of external iliac nodes, and here you will find the medial and lateral groups of common iliac nodes, and here you will find the lateral aortic nodes, that you can see the para aortic nodes, and here you will find the retro aortic nodes, and he'll find the superior mesenteric nodes and the celiac node. So according to the arterial branches and their divisions, the presence of the lymph nodes have their own names. So like that, you'll find the nerves of the posterior abdominal wall over here, that you'll find the subcostal nerve, that is the T12, and it is the ventral ramus of the 12th thoracic spinal nerve, and you'll find the lumbar plexus over here. So this lumbar plexus that is formed by the L1, L2 and L3 spinal nerve, means the lumbar nerve, and a larger upper part of the ventral ramus of the L4 also unites with that. The lower smaller part of the ventral ramus of L4 nerve that joins with the ventral ramus of the L5 nerve to form the lumbosacral trunk, which takes part in the formation of your sacral plexus. Like that, we'll see the clinical correlations of the posterior abdominal wall, mainly that related to the psoas major muscle. So here you'll find the tuberculous abscess, or you can say the psoas abscess. So the psoas abscess, mainly the psoas fascia, that forms a long tubular sheath that is osseofibrous tunnel called the psoas sheath, and extending from the upper lumbar region of the posterior abdominal wall to the groin region. And tubercular infection of the vertebra of the thoracolumbar region that causes destruction of their bodies, leading to the formation of an abscess, and the pus from this abscess that cannot spread anteriorly due to the anterior longitudinal ligament, therefore it spreads laterally into the psoas sheath, that forming the psoas abscess. And this pus can also enter the psoas sheath from the posterior mediastinum through a gap deep to the medial arcuate line, or you can say the arcuate ligament, and that pus may then spread downward along the psoas muscle under the inguinal ligament into the femoral triangle, where it produces a soft swelling in the femoral triangle. Like that, you will find the aortic aneurysm that you can observe over here. So the aortic aneurysm, that is localized dilatation of the aorta, commonly occurs below the origin of the renal artery. 95% of the people, they usually in the older men, this problem occurs. And most common cause of this aortic aneurysm is the atherosclerosis, which weakens the aortic wall, and clinically it presents as the pulsatile and expansile abdominal mass, typically just superior to and to the left of the umbilicus region. Like that, you'll find the compression of the inferior vena cava. So this inferior vena cava that you can observe over here, that is commonly compressed by an enlarged uterus during the last trimester of the pregnancy, and this causes edema of the ankle and feet and varicose vein in the lower limb. And the compression and blockage of this inferior vena cava by the malignant retroperitoneal tumors result in dilatation of the anastomotic channel between the inferior vena cava and the superior vena cava, that is your caval shunt, so that the blood could be returned to the right atrium. So clinically it presents as the prominent subcutaneous vein called the thoracoabdominal vein, that formed due to the dilatation of anastomotic venous channel between the lateral thoracic vein and a tributary of the axillary vein, and the superficial epigastric vein, that is a tributary of the femoral vein. So here we have completed the posterior abdominal wall. Hope we have covered all of the things that we want to mention, or that we want to read during the examination period. So